What is up, guys? Mark Chess back here in the studio. Today we will be comparing two of the most hype shoes in basketball, most famous and recent shoes that are out now in the market, which has a very similar feeling of their cushioning, and I think they have the same right on the technology on this cushion setup. So without further ado, let's compare the PUMA CLYDE courts versus the HARDEN Volume 3s. But before that, I would just like to remind you guys that if you haven't joined the raffle yet, click the subscribe button or ring that bell. Link for the raffle will be down below in the description box. Let's get on to the comparison. Before anything else, if you like a more in-depth, detailed review on these two shoes, I'll put the link up here. I'll be just comparing them based on the material, tech setup, cushion, and of course the outsole and traction. So let's start off with the materials. For the upper is quite similar, like a knit or mesh upper. But what I think is more structured is the PUMA CLYDE. It's a bit more thicker compared to the HARDEN Volume 3s. If you don't like it to be that thick, this is nice. Still very supportive. They have a fused plastic here for support, and of course here too for lateral and medial support. In the forefoot area, there's a bit of like a print plastic around the medial part of the shoe, also support. Well, the CLYDE courts support is PUMA logo, and the heel counter doesn't just cover the back part of the shoe, it goes up to here. You can feel it. If you want a wider heel counter for the shoe, the PUMA CLYDE is the way to go. If you want a thinner material yet still very supportive, the HARDEN Volume 3s. Both shoes are very supportive. Sometimes some players, and even me on some days, I like the security of thicker materials. So PUMA CLYDE has a thicker material, one booty upper, and this one has a tongue part. For the sizing and fit, it's the same. Both go down half a size. I'm a regular footer, so I went down half a size for both, and I must say both shoes really fit nicely. So if you want a more traditional tongue lacing system, go with the HARDEN Volume 3s. The PUMA CLYDEs is a one booty upper, similar to the KD 11s and LeBron 15s. They have the similar fit. It's easier to put on. I think the HARDEN Volume 3 is easier to put on because it has a full tongue out here. I think one of the major difference that I've felt in both shoes is the Achilles pillow. Maybe some of you doesn't care that much about the Achilles pillow, but for me it's a plus point on the shoe because it adds in the lockdown of the shoe. So I felt more lockdown here at the PUMA CLYDEs. I don't know if it's just because of the Achilles pillow, but also the heel counter goes really way up here and it curves. Comparing it with the HARDEN Volume 3's heel counter, you can feel the plastic, it's up to here only. The gripe that I've told you guys about the Volume 3, which will really make it an excellent basketball sneaker, is if they just put a thicker Achilles pillow. They just put it here, it holds your foot down even more. That will be perfect. The heel lockdown on the Volume 3s is still good, but it's better on the PUMA CLYDEs. So for the other materials of the upper, here there's a synthetic leather at the back of the Adidas, which is nothing special. What I like about the other materials of the PUMA CLYDEs is their synthetic leather here looks pretty nice, very bright, especially in this colorway. I like it. And the heel counter, like what I've said, is sturdy, but at the same time, they didn't use the really thick plastic, so it doesn't give too much of the weight, so that's a plus point on the PUMA CLYDEs. Overall, the look between the two shoes, I'm liking the retro vibe of the PUMA CLYDEs. Now let's move on to the two similar techs that these two shoes have. Boost for the Adidas HARDEN Volume 3s and the energy beads and ignite foam in the PUMA CLYDEs. For all of you who doesn't know, PUMA and Adidas both have the rights for the Boost technology, but Adidas launched it first. They called it Boost and it clicked, so I think PUMA held it back a bit. They don't want to be labeled as a copycat, even though they have the right at the same time with Adidas. They don't want to be called copycat and they don't want bad PR on their side. I think they just released and went aggressive on the Ignite foam and energy beads just last year. They first went to their lifestyle sneakers, the running sneakers. They have the black, white beads there that are unlocked. So I haven't tried that out. This is the first time I tried the Ignite foam with the energy beads. So far, both of the cushion feels similar. Actually, the cushion setup found on the PUMA CLYDEs is quite similar to the Crazy Explosives, the 2017. Those were the last Crazy Explosives that was out. Impact protection is really nice. Bounciness is enough. It's a bit high off the ground. And comparing it with the Volume 3s, the boost here on the Volume 3s, as you can see, is really uncaged and it's quite thin, kind of sit in between the boost. You feel lower to the ground with the Harden Volume 3s. Impact protection is still very good. There's enough bounciness and heel to toe transition. As you can see, the boost kind of thins out in the forefoot, so court feel and responsiveness is better here in the Volume 3s. The responsiveness on the PUMA CLYDEs is pretty good, but the court feel is not because it's kind of higher. That's the main difference in the cushion. Overall, pretty similar. For the summary of the support on both shoes, actually the support on both shoes is quite similar. It's up to the player. It's up to you. If you want it to be really low cut here, if that doesn't bother you at all, go with the Harden Volume 3s. It's still very supportive. I know a lot of my friends that plays a lot like the feeling when the shoes is a bit mid-cut and high-cut. If you're one of those players, PUMA CLYDE is better because the Harden Volume 3s is really low, as you can see there. Look at the difference. And comparing with the other shoes, it really goes down, the Harden Volume 3. If you're not a low top player, avoid the Harden Volume 3s. Now let's move on to one of the most important part of the shoe, which is the traction outsole. Start off with the rubber compound. PUMA CLYDE's rubber is harder. It has thicker grooves, while the Harden Volume 3s has a herringbone pattern, quite thinner. So for outdoor use, PUMA CLYDE's because it's thicker. And as for the traction on both shoes, on a clean court, the Harden Volume 3s is excellent. It squeaks a lot. The PUMA CLYDE's is also good, doesn't squeak that much. On a dusty court, both of these shoes needs wiping. I might say the Volume 3s, especially this colorway, it picks up dust way faster than the PUMA CLYDE's because the herringbone pattern on the Volume 3s is really close. It picks up a lot of dust easily. So watch out if you play a lot on dusty courts. There's nothing a little wipe can't do, but it's kind of annoying to wipe it every now so often. So if you're a guy who's lazy wiping their outsoles, both these outsole really picks up a lot of dust quickly. So take note of that. The price of the Harden Volume 3s is $140 US or around 7,000 pesos here, while the PUMA CLYDE courts is $120. $20 cheaper or 1,000 pesos cheaper compared with the Harden Volume 3s. This one is out now here in the Philippines. It's easily available here, the Volume 3s, while the CLYDE court unfortunately hasn't reached our shores yet, but it's widely available in the US. If you want to ship it, they end up costing the same. So which performs better overall for me? That decision I think is very relative, so don't hate me on that again. A lot of you, come on, choose now, Mark. Choose between the two shoes that you're comparing, but it really depends. Like some days, like I've told you guys before, where I like to be more quicker off the ground and I like a low top shoe, I would go with the Harden Volume 3s. On a dusty court, I would use the Pumas. I think that's one of the few flaws that the Harden Volume 3. It's a dust pickup and the absence of Achilles pillows. Overall, this is a very high performing sneaker that is out now. If you like low tops, of course, Volume 3s. And if you like mid tops, the PUMA CLYDE courts. And for sizing wise, like I said earlier, if you're a normal footer, go half a size down. But if you're a wide footer, go true to your size or TTS. So that's it on my comparison between the Harden Volume 3s and the PUMA CLYDE courts. I hope you like this video and thank you again for watching my videos. This has been Marches and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.